Good to see you again, Coach.
You too, man.
Appreciate you.
Yes.
First of all, how's it settling in here back in Henderson? How's it feel to be back?
It's good. The transition's been good. I'm excited to be back, and so it's been a really good time for myself and my family.
Tell me about that. How that happened? You know, getting the call from Henderson. You've been in the center for a while now.
Right.
How did that come into be?
It was actually a long process, because we were settled in center. I mean, everything was going well. We had established a really good athletic program in totality. Football-wise, we were doing some really good things. And so it was kind of a long process. It was one that we had to talk about a lot as me and my wife, and then everything kind of just transpired once, they hired a superintendent here in Henderson, and I was able to visit with him and just kind of saw how everything we believed in aligned, and so then I just really thought it was a really good fit for myself and for my wife and for my kids.
Coach, you built something real special down in Center, Texas. What were some of the emotions like leaving a program like that?
It's tough because of the relationships you built. And it was tough all the way around. I mean, we had put together a staff, and that's the things we were able to accomplish were because of the coaches around our kids, and then obviously the kids buying into the expectation and the standard and our pillars. And so it's tough because so much that what we do is about all the kids in the program, but then I had to take a step back and make sure I did what was best for my family. And so that it was very tough because we did. I mean, we've done things there in the last over the last few years that hadn't happened in 30 years from a football program standpoint, and just the excitement and just everything we had built. So, I take a lot of pride in how we go about building the program, and so hopefully the kids there understand that, the things that we put in, that we were instilling in them had nothing to do with the game, and those things will continue to benefit them, and I hope they still take that mindset.
I mean, this isn't your first time. This isn't your first time here in Henderson, but it's not your first time trying to build a program.
Right.
What can you learn from what you did in Center and bring that here to the Lions?
Kind of what I just got through saying. Our pillars and the things that are standard within the program, all that has to do with building a better athlete, a better person, a better teammate. And then the wins take care of themselves, and we have the proof to show that. And so it's going to be the same format. We're going to have to dive into the athlete, dive into them personally, and continue to grow them that way as an athlete, as a student, as a son or daughter at their house and in the community. And that's the way that we're going to flip this, and that's the way we're going to build something special in Henderson.
Does it feel different coming into Henderson? Because, this is a program that was right there last year. They were so close to making that playoffs. They had the big win over Kilgore. They proved that they can compete at a high level. Is it a little different of an approach because maybe you skip steps 1 and 2 in terms of just that rebuild? How did you feel coming into this program?
Well, with the things that we believe, I don't think you can skip that. We've got to lay a foundation. The kids have got to understand what the expectation is going to be. They have to understand the way that we're going to train and the way we're going to play the game. We've got to build that foundation. And so, whereas, Coach Baker did a great job, and like you said, they had results last year. They were right there. But there's still things within our program that we've got to establish. And so, if we skip things and we try to jump ahead too quick, then later on down the road, that foundation's not going to be there that we want. So, the mindset going into rebuilding the program and doing it the way that we want to do it, it's all going to be the same.
There was a lot of, from when I was down here last year, there was a lot of trust in that Clay Baker system and that coaching staff. How are you winning over the trust for these kids?
Yeah, you think about our seniors. They're fixing to be on their third football coach since they've been in high school. And so we had to take a lot of time early on to work with that relationship. They got 1 year left. Why should they trust me? Why should they trust the coaches coming in? Because we're on our third one. So we've got to make them understand the importance of being a part of our athletic department. So I get that side of it, but also too, when they graduate a year from now, the fact that they were a part of our department, they're going to be better people. And so we've got to get them to understand that. And along the way, we're going to play a game that everybody loves and that we're going to have success. And so through athletics and the vehicle of athletics, we get to play football, but we're also going to become better people. And So we've got to get them to understand that. And we've taken a lot of time early on to take that approach because they've been through a lot when you consider the other schools around where stability and continuity is a part of their program. And so we've got to do the same thing here.
Do you think they felt maybe just a little hurt about what happened and everything went down last year? Is it when you met them all for the first time, what was their kind of feelings? Was it a little standoffish?
Honestly, they've been great. They've been excited. They've been excited about the changes and the vision and the coaching staff that we've been able to put together. They're excited about all that. So, the transition has been really good. It's been a lot better than what I anticipated just because the unknown. I mean, you never know what it really is until you get in there and get going. And so they've been great. They've embraced the work. They've embraced the workload. They've embraced the change. And so with that, I feel like, success will be ahead for them.
Coach, you walked these halls before. How did it feel to just kind of be back in town? Does it feel familiar? Does it feel a little different?
Well, different because I'm in a different role, but still very familiar and, very excited about it. Henderson, special place. I got to work with my dad here from 2007 to 2012. So very special in that regards. But also very excited in what we can do moving forward and, put an additional stamp on the program that's very rich in a lot of athletic tradition. And so, very excited and, very excited about being able to do that moving forward. And I take a lot of pride in that. Like I want some really good things for Henderson Athletics, athletic department. We've got some great athletes here and some awesome kids that are ready to buy in and get to work.
You mentioned some of the things you do with your dad here. You were in a different role, but you guys did some great things for this program. There's banners hanging around to prove it. Does that legacy term ever come to your mind? And now it's your turn to cement your own name. I mean, you've already done it in several other schools in Texas in general. Now, time to do it again here.
Right.
Does that ever come to your mind?
I mean, I guess every once in a while, but I try to do everything I can to be in the present because that's what we preach to our kids. And so, there's times to reflect, and and of course I do that. I definitely not only miss my dad, but miss working with him. That was awesome to be able to play for him when I was in high school, then to be able to work with him, and then be able to achieve something at the highest level like we did. So yes, reflection happens, but because of that, I mean, he would, I can hear him telling me now, hey, it's your turn to go do some things and, stay the course and stay focused and go do what's right by the kids in the department. And so, as I said, as there's time for that, there's also time every day that we've got to continue to work and do what's right by our kids in our department. So they have the opportunity to win and achieve things and reach goals and continue to move forward in the department.
Do you think it's easier getting that buy-in from the kids when they can just look up and see that 2010 and you're like, hey, I know what it takes to get there. I was literally here when we got there. Do you think it's easier to sell that, get them to buy in and trust y'all?
I think it is, but just because we live in such a different world nowadays with social media and instant gratification and success in athletics still comes down to a couple of very small things, and the biggest one is hard work. Hard work and dedication to your craft is how you're going to achieve the success. So just because we have been there and achieved it doesn't mean it's automatically going to happen. There's a lot of people within the state working for the same goal. So what are we going to do to outwork those people and those teams? And so, in general, probably, because we, like as you mentioned, we understand what it takes and we have achieved it. And so that recipe's there, along with other coaches on staff that have achieved that. So I think that has helped with the buy-in, but we still got to go do the work and be willing to do the work and do the extra and understand the time that goes into us being successful.
Coach, we can talk a little more about the personnel on this team. what's standing out on this team to where maybe they can just pick up right from last year? You know, there's not that step back learning curve, coach. Who's on this team's really going to step up and you're relying on to step up and make sure this team's keep moving forward?
You know, we had some juniors last year that had success. So the fact that they had that success, it has helped us in the off season and now in summer for them to continue to work and strive. You know, you take where they were at through 7 games and then where they finished up through 10 games. You know, they wanted to be in the playoffs. You know, Henderson's not been in the playoffs since 2019. And when you talk about a program and a community that is used to winning and having tradition, that's a long drought. And so they want to be the group that turns that. And so that's been one thing that's really stood out to me. As I've said earlier, you know, they bought into what our expectation was going to be and understood that we were not going to waver from that. So if I want to be a part of the success moving forward, then I've got to buy in and not waver from that. And so, you know, those guys have stepped up and done that. And we have some guys in place that I really feel like we're going to be able to rely on in tough situations and key situations and big games and have success with those guys. And so they're going to set the example and the other guys are going to follow.
Coach, you've been playing these tough teams, these tough East Texas teams, even when you were at center. I mean, you faced your Carthage, you faced all, you know, those guys like that. But now you're in the district where it's all of them are just pretty much just straight killers,
right.
Including Henderson last year. It was a tough team to play. How does it feel as a coach? You know, so you're going up against probably the best in Texas when it comes to this classification.
Yeah, and our district is very tough. You look at the success Kilgore and Chapel Hill have had lately. Throw Lindell in the mix. Jason Bachman at Pine Tree is flipping the tide with his guys, and you know they went 2 rounds deep, and so that side of it is we know what's in front of us. You know, but from our kids' standpoint, once again, we're playing a game that we all love, a game that we put a lot of emphasis on. I get it, but we're playing a game, and so you know we got to keep that into perspective. So we're going to do things with our kids that allow them to be successful. And as I said, all the things that are going to go into the daily work and the weekly work and on game nights have nothing to do with the scoreboard. And through that, we're going to win games. And then because of that, they're going to be successful because they were a part of our program. And so, you know, I think if we put too much emphasis on who the opponent is in front of us, then our kids decide what weeks they want to work and what weeks they don't. It's a daily expectation and a daily standard. So there's not going to be any off weeks. There's not. I mean, our non-district is tough. Our district is very tough. And so we've got to approach it a different way. We can't make it about Kilgore or make it about Chapel Hill or make it about Palestine or whoever it is that week. We've got to make it about the things that our kids need to do on a daily basis so they can be successful on Friday. And that's the way we've got to keep it. That's got to be our mindset, and that's got to be our focus, and that's the process we take on a weekly basis.